When we think about AI, we usually picture an answer engine, right? You ask a question, you get an answer. But what if there's a whole new kind of AI out there? One that's designed not just to spit out information, but to help you make sense of the information you already have. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
So let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like you're just drowning in data? I mean, you've got notes scattered across 5 different apps, maybe a dozen browser tabs open for one single project, and that one crucial detail is buried somewhere in some document you can't find? It's a feeling we all know. A challenge of modern work and learning.
Okay, now picture this. Imagine an AI that doesn't go out and search the entire internet. Instead, it becomes a personal expert on your world. An assistant that can finally connect the dots between your documents, your videos, and your notes.
And that brings us right to our first section. We're going to explore this really common challenge, just trying to manage the absolute flood of personal and professional information that comes at us every single day. Steven Johnson, who's part of the team at Google tackling this very problem, just puts it perfectly. We're all trying to connect these scattered dots, and honestly, it's a huge drain on our time and our mental energy.
So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, let's move on and meet a new kind of tool that's designed specifically for this. Think of it as a personal AI, just for your stuff.
Okay, so it's called NotebookLM. And here's the absolute key. It's an AI assistant that becomes an expert only on the sources you give it. It works with your world, not the whole world. And yes, your private info stays private. It's never shared or used to train the model.
And getting started is incredibly simple. Seriously, it's like a 1-2-3 process. First, you upload your sources, PDFs, Google Docs, even transcripts from YouTube videos. Then, you just start asking questions about that specific material. And voila, you get summaries, outlines, and answers, all complete with citations that link you right back to the original spot on your sources.
All right, that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like when the rubber meets the road? Let's take a look at a few real-world examples of this AI in action.
For a student, this is a total game changer. Educational therapist Dr. Erica Warren showed how a student studying for an ancient Egypt test can just upload all their lecture notes and readings. The AI can then instantly whip up a study guide, create a 10-question quiz with an answer key, or generate a historical timeline. It can even create a custom podcast that explains tricky concepts out loud. It's all about helping them reprocess information in a way that actually clicks for them.
And in a business setting? Oh, the applications are just as powerful. Imagine uploading these incredibly long competitor analysis reports and getting an instant digestible summary, or feeding it your meeting notes to pull out all the key action items. You could even use it to track dense policy updates to make sure your team stays compliant. It's all about turning information into intelligence, fast.
But it's not just for formal work or school. My favorite example is from Steven Johnson, who says writers are using it for world building in fantasy novels. They upload all their notes, characters, places, plot points, and then can just ask, hey, remind me which characters live where? He calls it being able to Control F for interestingness. How brilliant is that?
So what's really interesting here is that tools like this are doing more than just changing our workflows. They are fundamentally reshaping our professional roles. Let's dig into this new way of working. Research into how professionals are using this stuff reveals 4 key areas of change. First, you have role transformation, which we're about to dive into. Then there's the obvious one, productivity gains. Third, and this is so important, is the growing need for AI literacy, knowing how to use these tools well. And finally, there's this fascinating thing called anthropomorphism. That's just our tendency to treat the AI like a person, giving it a name, saying please and thank you. It sounds small, but it actually has a huge impact on how we integrate these tools.
Okay, so let's focus on that first pillar, role transformation. For years, many of us were creators. We started with that scary blank page. But now, we're becoming curators. We start with a first draft from the AI, and our job completely shifts. It's less about raw creation and way more about strategy, quality control, and refinement. Our most valuable skills are becoming prompt engineering and rigorous fact-checking. The big risk, of course, is becoming too passive. We have to see AI as a starting point, never the final word.
And this quote from a professional trainer just captures this identity shift perfectly. They don't even think about starting from scratch anymore. Their instinct is to review, to critique, to improve. This isn't just a new tool changing a process. It's a fundamental change in how we see ourselves as professionals, moving from the artist with a blank canvas to the editor with a red pen.
So, All of this change, all of this power, it brings up a crucial question. How do we use these new tools effectively and ethically? Let's move on and talk about how we can think with AI responsibly.
One really practical idea is this traffic light model. It's super simple. Red means prohibited, no AI, like in a classic closed book exam. Yellow means permitted with limits, so you can use it for brainstorming, but the final work has to be all you. And green is for encouraged, where AI is part of the process as long as you document how you used it. A clear framework like this is just essential so everyone knows the rules of the road.
But you know, no matter what the rules are for any given task, the bigger goal is to build what's called critical AI literacy. This is not a niche tech skill anymore. It's becoming as fundamental as knowing how to use Google. It's about writing good prompts, spotting errors or bias in the AI's output, knowing what the tool is good at and what it's not, and of course knowing how to properly credit its help. These are the core skills of that modern curator role we talked about.
So this brings us full circle to a final, pretty big thought. Is the true revolution of AI really its ability to give us answers from the entire internet? Or is it in tools like these that help us learn to ask better, deeper, more insightful questions about the worlds of information we've already created for ourselves? Something to think about.